My name is Blake Johnson, and welcome to the VGC Hub. Today will be the first episode of our short segment of pre- and post-event reports where we will analyze briefly the metagame state and the potential high-end metagame calls to help prepare you properly for your event. For the post segment of this series, we will review results of the major tournaments at that time and break down in more detail what from our forecast proved itself and what fell short. Let's take a look. Ever since it won first place at Anaheim Regionals, Yveltal Groudon has taken over the metagame as a new reliable force to be reckoned with. Assault Vest Yveltal and specially bulky Groudon has solidified itself as a must-watch at Dallas Regionals this weekend. I've linked the team in the description below for your practicing purposes. Take advantage of this opportunity to study the damage calcs for this team and determine your best method of handling the many difficult matchups this team can provide. With this being one of the most popular teams right now, expect to see a fair amount of both carbon copies of the team as well as counter teams to it. I absolutely do not recommend focusing too hard on this matchup as counter teaming can make your team extremely weak to another archetype. There is a chance you will only face a few Yveltal Groudon teams in which your counter team will potentially leave you struggling for the rest of the event. Yveltal Groudon is extremely reliable at minimizing damage and constantly pivoting out of difficult matchups. It is a great player of the Weather Warp with Kyogre teams, and also does great at preventing the opponent from getting a setup going thanks to its access to Snarl, Electro Web, Sleep Powder, and Roar across all variants of the team. With that being said, it is not without weaknesses. Kyogre Xerneas teams in their current forms have a great time against this team. The addition of Toxicroak and Tsarina can make it very difficult for the team to get Trick Room up, or apply Fake Out pressure thanks to Toxicroak's low kick and Tsarina's Queenly Majesty, respectively. Tsarina is an especially interesting answer who, under rain, can take several hits from Groudon and Incineroar's fire attacks and respond with Power Whip or High Jump Kick. Kyogre Rayquaza teams have a niche in allowing Kyogre to ignore the team's main strategy of controlling the weather in their favor, allowing it to threaten some of the bulkiest of Groudon. Rayquaza can also remove Stakataka and Tapu Koko with Earth Power. Physical Tapu Koko with Z Wild Charge is a great threat to Yveltal, one of the hardest Pokemon to KO on the Yveldon team. This Tapu Koko spread also threatens one-hit KOs on several other meta Pokemon, and applies so much immediate pressure to many teams in the metagame, even with Intimidate. Physical Koko usage has risen slightly since last week, and Z-move usage has skyrocketed. Kommo-o has seen a steep increase of usage in the past week, often on Xerneas teams to threaten many of the common checks to Xerneas, such as Incineroar, Stakataka, and Kartana. There is a chance you will see a few Kommo-o at Dallas, but again, do not attempt to counter-team it. In this case, there won't be an overabundance of them, but there will be some around. I personally think Kommo-o will make it into Top Cut with a SpaceX team, to be specific. Here's a few of my recommendations for Dallas. Be mindful of Yveltal Groudon, but don't try too hard to counter-team it. At the end of the day, you want to focus on your team and how well it operates as a team, not just how well it functions against opposing teams. These are both equally important things, but do not forget that your team comes first. You need to be comfortable with what you play with, and then from there make adjustments to make sure it is competitive in the metagame. Be mindful of the counter teams. Everyone sees an odd team or two at regionals. Dallas Regionals is notorious for having vibrant and unique teams, so do keep this in mind. Don't be the counter-teamer struggling to win sets because you sacrificed all of your matchups just to beat one matchup. Likewise, make sure your team is tight against more simplistic strategies. These are strategies that can creep their way into a tournament by catching people off guard, so keep them in mind after you've completed team building and map out your ways of handling them. Practice. Test with your friends or others online in the best of 3 format. Make sure you know how to recover from a bad game 1, as well as know how to play a great game 2 or 3 in recovery. Get your practice in with reading your opponent's team preview and determining what your most reliable lead is and your most reliable answer. Test your team against high meta teams to see how your team can function against them at their absolute best. This would be considered a light form of flowcharting, or mapping out your potential outcomes to determine your best plan of action. This is a crucial step in your growth as a VGC player. Thank you all for tuning in this week. Be on the lookout next week for the post-Dallas review, where we will analyze the results in detail and see what comes next for the Moon series. And with that, I'll see you on the next one.